right, what's up, good people? It's your boys, the Beards of War, back again. Got myself, Thick Nick Fury. You got FBR for President, Fat Broken Rambo. Behind the scenes, hey, Captain Jack and Scorched Earth. All right, man, here we go. It's season 3, episode 9 of the Yellowjackets, the Feral Femme Fatales, and Travis. And the title of this one is How the Story Ends. This is a very pivotal episode, dude. A lot goes on in this episode. It kind of started out a little slow for me, but it definitely ramped up at the end. We lose a beloved, character in the show, so we're going to get into that. So I don't know. Let's get it started, Rambo. What's up, man?
Yeah, man. So this one kicked off kind of on the cliffhanger of the last episode where Shauna threw down the gauntlet to the team, saying, "Hey, we're not leaving." It just kind of escalated from there. So at this point, Nat still has the rifle, she still has the crowd, but you've got Van is kind of crumbling on the tie side. Shauna's there, and you can kind of see that who's the other one that the Lottie. So yeah, crazy Lottie.
Yeah.
Anyways, the group is fracturing for sure. And then Shauna takes the rifle back, and with that comes the power and basically says no one's leaving. So she threw down the gauntlet, and that's where we're at, man. It's interesting to see though, because now Nat's kind of working like the whole underground resistance piece of this whole thing, and she's starting to form her team and
Right.
rally around a plan to get the fuck out of the AO. And yeah, man. So then we get to the and that storyline carries us through the entire episode. So we'll touch back on that. In the current timeline, though, you've got Sha- Shauna is
Oh,
force
mess.
feeding Melissa's own skin to her, and man, they do not like every other scene of cannibalism in this show. They do not stray away from the mouth when that occurs, and just the audio guys that are tasked with like pulling that sound together is just like, God damn, you just feel fucking dirty afterwards.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so Melissa eats it, and then yeah, so the scuffle ensues. Melissa's got her exit strategy. She's able to jump in the van, and when Shauna wasn't looking, and make her escape. And then Shauna kind of like I don't
Dude,
I
it
didn't
was
get I didn't get that the line of dialogue just fucking killed me, man. Shauna like runs up to the car and she's like, Melissa, why won't you open the door? You're like, because you're a fucking crazy bitch to just force feed me my bicep. That's why.
right. I'm like, we're not going to talk at this point. Like, the conversation's over. You just made me eat part of my own flesh, right? So,
Just
uh,
burn the damn muffins. Oh,
and this is
food.
why we always tell you, ladies, fill up your gas tank. Like, there's too many times you should not even know what that empty gas tank
Yep.
indicator looks like. And it came into play in this situation because when Melissa gets in the van, what happens? Oh, that's
Gaslight.
right. My wife told me she to put gas in the car, and that completely, I don't know where she was going because it definitely wasn't toward the police station. Like, she's just riding down the road, and then who does she happen to run into but a car full of the girls? They're like, "Hey, wait a minute, isn't that Melissa?"
And
So
this
wait a
is
minute,
Richmond, Virginia, too. So I mean, it's not like
right?
it's
So here's where it gets weird. So you're telling me that a person that you know to be dead, and who you haven't seen, I don't know how long, you can recognize her as you're driving by on the road?
right. But we have to backtrack real quick because there's an explanation for it. So
Okay.
the other part of this present day timeline is Misty, Van, and Ty, right? So Van's not doing so good, but she basically gets like she has a vision from her past self walking her through and basically like kind of gives her like the old Mickey speech from Rocky, "Get up, you son of a bitch! I didn't hear no bell." Right? So Van's like, "Hey, like this is like Goonies, right? Like you got to go on this treasure hunt, and at the end of the hunt, you'll find your treasure." She doesn't really know what that means. She's like, "Hey, Mark, X marks the spot." Goonies never say die. So that kind of like incentivizes Van to just kind of jump out of the bed and say fuck it and hit the road. So her, Ty, and Shauna, um, yeah, I'm sorry,
I
her,
missed it.
Ty, and Misty grab a car and they start heading towards Last Known, and they happen to be on this same desolate stretch of road of Richmond, Virginia. As Melissa is broken down on the side of the road, having used the van door to Mel Gibson herself into an undislocated shoulder. And if you get the reference, we can be
Yeah,
friends.
there you go.
Um, yeah, man. So all three kind of come together. Van's kind of hanging out the window. She's like, "Oh shit, there's a railroad crossing. X marks the spot. Bingo bongo." Uh, Melissa's a hostage again. And we
Yeah,
go back to the house for some tactical questioning that goes south.
right. And you realize what a shit show it is at the house, right? So there's like blood all over the walls. And I'm like, well, how are we gonna explain this, right? So they like no one really knows what is supposed to happen at this point, I guess, right? So they kind of have Melissa tied up, like, okay, well, what time does her wife come home? Because like, how do we explain this? And she manages to make her way over to the chimney, and
Yep.
closed the flume. So I'm like, okay, this is a way she's gonna smoke him out, but isn't she also gonna get smoked out of in this situation? But um, that's neither here nor there. But it turns out uh, Van passes out and Ty passes
No,
out,
it's
right?
Ty and Shauna pass out. Van's outside because she's hitting the oxygen because she's just kind of short of breath.
Right. And somehow Melissa didn't pass out. I don't know. Maybe like she probably has some level of tactical training. We don't really know what Melissa's been doing ever since she got back, but it does sound like she has a particular set of skills. I don't know what those skills are, but apparently you can survive carbon monoxide poisoning. Um,
So I'm curious because I suspect that well, A, she knew it was coming, right? So she's already lower to the
right.
ground. If those two are seated or standing or seated, then they have higher positions. The gas probably comes to the top, I'm assuming. So
Wow, look
maybe
at
she
that.
stood, maybe she's, well, I mean, I'm just thinking about it from like the firehouse fucking
Yeah.
videos from
You're like,
kids,
wait, why
right?
are
Get
you low
down,
crawling?
crawl, smoke is high. I don't know, man. PSA announcements.
It works.
Um,
Lazy writing.
we'll roll with it, man.
Let's
But
go.
back in the 96 timeline, we do see the infamous scene of the pit being created by Travis. It's
Yeah.
kind of interesting, like, so he's sharpening the sticks. Is basically, if you guys are familiar with the Vietnam conflict, it's a giant punji pit. Small daggers at the bottom. Those were kind of more designed for harm and maim versus kills, but or an old fucking hunting trap kind of functionality as well. But yeah,
Yeah.
so he's putting it all together, runs his test case, doesn't go so well, recamouflages, and he baits Lottie out, man. And I thought for sure, I was like, oh snap. I mean, you get excited, but both of them make it out of there, so you can't get super excited. But
Right, right.
I
Yeah.
did find it interesting that he was going after after Lottie with that though.
Well,
Uh,
because I think because Lottie is kind of like that pulling force, right?
yeah.
Lottie has no desire to go home. So Shauna now is taking that path of, oh, if you listen to me, we're staying. But Lottie is really the one that kind of anchored them here, and I think Travis realizes that. What is more impressive is that Travis was able to somehow dig this hole. I don't know what amount of time with no real digging equipment, and we all know how hard it is to dig a hole. Like that's why they found bodies
So
in shallow graves. It's the hardest hole you ever have to dig, and it's pretty deep. It's a pretty extravagant trap, right? And then he covers it all. He covers the whole thing. Let me test this out by throwing a log on it. I'm like, okay, great, that works. Now let me do recover it all over again. Okay,
so
all
I
right.
think I think it's the pit from Coach.
From
Or-
the cache.
Yeah.
Well, then don't they know where that is? Okay. So if you know this is where the cache is, why would
Oh
you be
wow.
walking over the hole? But I get it. It's for the sake of the story. I'm sorry, I digress. But that was
Yeah,
impressive
but
that he
at the end
set
of the
that
day,
up,
Lottie didn't fall in, so that's all kinds of fucking weird.
right? Because she walked right over it from what we could see. I believe she walked right over it. Like it wasn't like Charles like, oh, like go over that way a little bit. He's like, oh, why didn't she fall in?
Yeah, but for a pit, I mean, for a pit that size, he's going to have some degree of reinforcement to handle all the concealment he'd have to put on top of that. So, like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm
This
stretching it. I
is
know. I
maybe
know.
Lottie lost a lot of weight out there
This
and
theory is
weighed
so
less than the
thin, it's fucking
sticks.
anorexic. Um, I got it. It's thin, man. But maybe there's a possibility that the support structure was enough to bear her weight. I don't know.
Rail. All right, Rail.
All right.
Now we're trying to like make sense of this, and let's
I'll pull
not.
out a dry erase board, man. We can task
Let's
conditions and standards
not.
this shit.
All right, there's alcohol in here. No, there's not. It's coffee.
Mm,
Mm-hmm. All right. So anyway, yeah. So now here's the other interesting part of it because they're trying back in the past. They're trying to like you see Van's trying to work out this radio, see how she can get it fixed.
yep.
And who remembers? Oh, wait a minute. I remember when we first crashed and that little black box that probably could have sent us home months ago.
Yeah.
Let me go help out. And it's like, Missy's like, oh, look what I found. And then what's found like, you had this the whole time. Was it Van or Nat? Like somebody was like, you've had this the whole time.
It
So
was
it's not even
Nat.
like you're the hero right now. You're
Oh
even more of a
no, you're not.
villain. Oh, Missy, you're in trouble. Like you came up with wait. Like you're thinking, look, guys, I can help. And they're like, wait a minute. You had this the whole time. So that's gonna be another fracture, I think, that's coming up.
Oh
And
yeah.
Misty might be trying to survive on her own at that point because like now she kind of let the cat out of the bag that she's a big part of the reason why they were never rescued.
I think you're gonna see. I don't know. Her loyalty to Nat in the current timeline has always kind of made me think that Nat did something to save her. So maybe Nat kept this secret. until they got rescued or something, like to just kind of protect her
Right.
from the group.
For the greater good. Yeah.
But if
It's a way
Nat
out.
was to release that information, I think that Misty is immediately going to run to Shauna's side because she'll recognize, there's a chance that because of that rift between those two, that she could side with her and Sean might protect her.
Right.
Um, but yeah, we kind of go in the 96 timeline, we kind of go from daylight to nighttime, and that's where the whole rebellion, the coup d'etat, kind of tries to occur.
The
So
coup.
Nat's got her team, man. She's got they've suspiciously, they've kind of convinced Melissa to come over. I suspect that she was kind of an inside man because there was a big dramatic showdown between her and Shauna earlier in the episode where Shauna like looked like she was going to shoot her and then kind of winged her, and then Melissa, sold herself because she was terrified because she just had a bullet ripped by her arm.
Yeah.
I still I don't know, man. That seems I think Melissa is still Team Shauna up until that point, and I think she was the inside man to feed her intel from the rebellion group. So it's kind of like Jen. I don't think Misty was part of that. It was definitely Jen, Akila, Travis, and then Nat, and then Melissa. So they were
Hmm.
meeting up, and basically, Nat slips a knife to Hannah in the animal pen where her and Kodiak are being held hostage, and says, "Cut you guys both free after dark. Meet us here. We're gonna make a break for it." So they're leaving the team, and they'd stand a good head start on them, man, if they if their shit didn't go south.
Yeah. And it did, didn't it?
Yep,
Uh,
sure did. And
so
nobody
I
saw that
think
coming.
right. So I think what they tried to do was they kind of said, "Hey, we're gonna send Misty over there," but meanwhile they picked up on it right away. They're like, "Come on, Misty, like we already know like why you're over here." Right. So it wasn't even like she could fake it. So that's why I believe Melissa was the true mole. It's kind of like, look over here, but here's where
Yeah.
the real situation comes in. And then as you said, they're planning the escape. They get caught, and Hannah had a decision to make. She made an executive decision in a matter of seconds.
She
Like,
did,
oh,
man.
it's his fault. Bam, gets a knife right to the eyeball. I'm like dead center. I'm like, wow, Cody. Like, I know you probably didn't see that coming, bro. No pun intended. But I don't know if Hannah really made that decision in that split second. Like, she doesn't give me. And again, I don't know much about her yet, but she doesn't give me that really quick, making a sensible decision like that. Like, okay, well, I'm going to
Yeah.
align myself with these people because he's going to be the outsider. But when let's basically, he's the only one that can get you out. So you just kind of say, okay, well, yeah, I'm kind of just going that we're all going to stay here, but you have a daughter to get home to. So I would think you would be on the side that wants to go home so you can get back home to your daughter. So which leads me to leave, like, is Hannah really this sensitive woman that we think she is? Is kind of with the doe eyes, looking so innocent? I don't know. I don't know.
Hmm. Yeah.
I think it's something
So
more to her
I think
than
it's kind of interesting though, because if you look at Hannah, like if she's weighing her options in this moment, because earlier before, I think she gets the knife. Anyways, she's talking to Kodiak and they have that exchange, and she's like, "Why do your clothes say Eric?"
right.
And I forget the last name that's on there, but it's not him, right? Or at least
Hmm.
we're assuming it's not him. And he's very shady about it. And I think at that moment, that was her making that decision. Okay, I'm gonna fucking kill you, and I'm gonna side with these folks because I trust them more than I do you right now. And I think she was concerned not only that Shauna was on the opposition, but Nat is obviously not strong enough to pull the strength of the body towards her anymore. So I
Right.
think
Yeah.
then that's so she had to make that decision, and she's like, "This dude's a fucking threat. I'm going to show my allegiance to Shauna and the ones that will determine my fate."
Right. But I mean, the explanation made sense. Like
Yeah,
Cody, he was like, "Oh yeah, thrift store." Oh, it absolutely made sense. I wasn't like, he didn't stutter and say, well, yeah, I just found it in a lost campsite. Like he made up a really good, believable story. So I don't know if, like I said, did Hannah really think this through? Is Hannah that fearful that okay, man, no, I gotta line up with these cannibalistic ladies over here because I really just don't feel like they're gonna let us go. But meanwhile, that was your chance to escape, and you didn't give any opposition to them trying to escape. You were all with it until you got caught. Like, oh, nope, sorry. Yeah, it was his fault. I blame him. Nice to the eyeball. So,
yeah.
Hannah, like I said, she made an executive decision. We'll see how that pays off. We know she doesn't make it to the end, so we'll see how that
We
pays off
don't.
for her. Yeah. Well, we assume
Yeah,
because they all said that they alluded to them all being dead outside of the ones that actually made it home. So we'll see where that storyline goes. It ends somewhere with Hannah.
Yeah. Yeah, the fracture is definitely there though, man. It's gonna be Nat and that crew is definitely on one side of this thing now, and the I think when the fracture happens, that's gonna be the split. We've
Right.
established our teams. But yeah, the current day timeline, takes a turn for the worse for our yellow jackets out there. And yeah, man. So the carbon monoxide knocks out Ty and Shauna, and pretty much Melissa too. But she's more conscious than they are. And Van comes in and starts putting things together. And she realizes that at this point that if she's going to save them, she's now willing to become the person that she was begging Ty not to be, and she's going to make that sacrifice. And I think at this point, she has got the belief now that the wilderness is asking for blood. And she goes at fucking Melissa like a boss man at first, and then she just fucks up and lets her close that gap. And
Hmm.
I think at the very end, I'm sorry, at the very end, I think she realized that she didn't want to be that person. And Melissa used that manipulation to her advantage. And
Hmm.
she's like, yeah, but I am, and
Yeah.
shoved that knife into her heart, man. And
Yeah.
that was canceled Christmas for Van.
Oh, it sure did, man. That so it wasn't cancer that took her. It was a knife to the chest.
Yep.
Shout out to Lauren Ambrose, man, who plays the adult Van. Uh,
Yeah.
love seeing her on the show, man. Loves her character, kind of having that quirky attitude, and it's kind of playing that role between keeping Ty on the level. The younger, obviously, actress that plays Van is Liv Houston, and she's still, I'm sure, going to be on the show, obviously,
Yeah.
and then in the past timeline. But yeah, man, I think she did great for the show. Hopefully, this leads to more roles for her. I think she did a phenomenal job, and it does push the storyline now because now, like, okay, I really need to know about Melissa because she's been doing some stuff, and I kind of had some questions before because it seemed like she was supposed to be dead, right? So then my question becomes, if she was supposed to be dead and no one knew she was alive, like how did she know about Nat's death, right?
Oh
Because it
yeah.
it wasn't something they made. But like Lottie, I kind of get comes in the news, and I don't think she knew about Lottie because she's like, oh, Lottie's dead, but she knew about Nat, which was kind of like the group thing, like the group really knew about it. It didn't cover that on the national news. So how did she find out about Nat? Or the other things that were going on, or where they were, or why when they would be at this place where she could leave the phone and that type of stuff. So, I mean, finding Shauna's address, leaving the tape, that's not hard. But the other stuff is like, okay, well, how long were you watching them?
Yeah.
So
I
Melissa
I
has a lot
smell
going on with her.
I smell a citizen detective named Walter around here somewhere.
Oh yeah, that shows it with a helicopter. Oh yeah, somebody owed me a favor. What kind of favors do you get owed where you get a helicopter ride? And like, yeah, I'll just pick you up in a field and a helicopter. So Walter's got a lot going on too, man. So it's gonna be interesting to see where that storyline goes. They kind of just drop him out of nowhere. He's driving like these expensive Mustangs, and now he's got a helicopter coming in. I'm like, okay, Walter, like, what
And
are
a
we doing,
boat.
bro? Yeah, what are we doing?
He is definitely more connected to this than we know, obviously.
Exactly.
I wouldn't be surprised if him and Melissa are like not necessarily a romantic thing, but they have a connection. Like they are part
Hmm.
of this effort to kill off all the yellow jackets. It's gonna be
Yeah.
interesting though. Like so, the sacrifice that Van made in the current timeline with her death was the triggering effect that actually freed the good side of Ty. So now that Good Ty is back in control, it's going to be really interesting to see how those dynamics shifted. And fuck, man, it sucks something fierce, man. That she admits at the end, she's like, you were my treasure at the end of the treasure map. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it was sad to see. I'm kind of interested to see where it goes from here in the payoff. Because man, there's been a fair amount of deaths this season.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. So I don't know. Um, I don't know. You never know where it's going, right? Which is the
Yeah.
beauty of the show. But what I do know is this: Shauna is the antagonist. Like, she from early on, like she's taken over. She's like, it's my way or the highway. She's kind of like just going rampant on her own after these
Yep.
people. She's like, she literally went there to kill Melissa, right? So Shauna's like, yeah, she's not just a housewife, dude. Like, she's got a lot of sinister stuff going on, and she tries to act like kind of innocent, like, oh well, I'm just doing whatever I have to do. Like, no, no, Shauna, no, you got a lot of stuff going on with you, man. But we'll see what the payoff is. But I'm interested definitely in the past timeline because I do want to know who actually makes it. Like, who can we expect to see in the current timeline that we haven't seen yet, right? So there's still a couple of, like Akila, we haven't seen any
I think it's gonna be
parts of
her.
her. Yeah, Amira, right? We haven't seen her.
Mari.
Mari, yeah, Mari, we haven't
Yeah,
seen her. So, yeah, I'm
that's
interested
because
to see who actually made it out.
yeah, a confirmation of adult Mari would be interesting because that would pretty much all but seal the fate of either Jen or Hannah being Pit Girl. Um, and I still think Hannah's probably going to end up being Pit Girl, but fuck me, you never know. I just want the deaths to mean something. So like I get so like did a really good job of breaking down Jesus Van's death and like what it meant, and it had an effect. Coach's death was amazing.
Yeah, it was.
Not to sound morbid, that sounds kind of fucking weird now I sit and think about it. But like the Adam Martin and the the police officer from season 2, Kevin, and some of these other side characters that you introduce and you expect to see a payoff of, like Kodiak, right? Like there's all kinds of
Mhm.
mystery for Kodiak. I would like to see those characters get a payoff, like telling you like one line of dialogue, man, I'm good. But
Right,
just something that, especially like Kodiak specifically, and even Adam actually, now that I think about it, but like all the details that they planted, and I understand they've shifted their story a little bit. But Kodiak specifically, since it is the current season, be like, hey man, you laid some pretty heavy breadcrumbs. Like that needs to have gone somewhere. Like you need to make it count for something, I think.
right,
Maybe I'm
yeah.
asking too much, but that's just kind of how I feel.
Something. Maybe it'll be one of those things where all happens at the end, right? Like, oh wow, oh this person was connected here, this person was related to this person. Like, oh okay, that's cool. Like you tie it all in if you want to wait and do it that way. I mean, it's kind of difficult to do, especially with a show that runs for this long. But I would love to see where it goes, man. Like you say, like you hate for those things to kind of lead to nowhere, which tends to happen. Like I still want to know, okay, the whole situation with Lottie. Like what, like is Lottie? Does Lottie death mean something? Like what was the reason? Who did? We're still looking at who done it, but like what's the
Lottie,
significance?
Lottie's death absolutely is going to mean something. It has to.
Right.
Fans are going to protest, man.
Oh,
Um, But yeah, so I don't know, man. I'm kind of interested to see where the finale goes. I'm definitely like I think something really bad's gonna happen, and my money is kind of on Callie and Jeff. I think I think you're gonna push Shauna completely off the fucking edge, and her entire insanity shtick is gonna come full force. And I think that's kind of how you do it. Maybe Callie kills Jeff, maybe Shauna kills them both. I don't know, but I think a tragedy is definitely gonna happen to Shauna's family.
yeah.
Kind of interested to see what the fallout with Melissa's family is because like there's all kinds of questions. Like there's a dead woman on your floor and your wife's missing.
Right. Yeah. There's a dead body.
Um,
You got blood on the walls. A lot went on there.
People are gonna have questions. Uh,
Right.
yeah,
Uh,
definitely interested to see where. Yeah, I think Lottie's killer needs to definitely be wrapped up this season. And yeah, I mean, I don't know the past timeline. I don't really know where the hell that can go. I'm curious if they're going to lead into the next hunt. Curious if it's going to be Pit Girl. I saw some people theorize that they think maybe we'll see the rescue at the very end, and that's how to a helicopter spotlight or something hitting them, and it cuts to black, kind of Sopranos kind of thing.
yeah.
Um,
Because somebody's got to be looking for the frog people, right? That would be the next logical thing. Because otherwise, why were they still in that area after all this long? So I would say that could lead to them being discovered and or rescued because hey, we did send two like scientists or biologists out there and we haven't heard from them. So let's go check it out. Or even Kodiak. There's three people that have been out there who are, have some connection back to the world, especially with Hannah having a daughter. So yeah, someone's gonna be looking for her. So I think that's kind of how the rescue probably would happen.
yeah, I mean because Kodiak says it's a 6 day hike out, so they've hunted in for 6 days. Um, and that's to whatever method of extraction they're gonna get to. So they've got the sat phone, so I guess they could call in like helicopters to come pick them up or something. But I would think you'd have like I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards a boat or a vehicle of sorts, not necessarily an aircraft.
Yeah,
Uh,
something.
but yeah, that would be standard operating procedure to have like a rescue plan. Be like, hey, if we don't make contact at this point, or if we're not back by this day, send out a rescue. Here's where we're going.
Last coordinates, right?
Don't pull 127 hours.
Classic
So
movie.
right.
Classic.
But you
Uh,
only need to watch it once, man.
oh, dude.
That is a life lesson movie. Watch it.
Mm, Real.
But
But
hey,
yeah,
man.
man.
So That's pretty much what we got, man, for this week's episode. But we got something, nice little tidbit. Who dropped a trailer earlier today for an anime anthology series based on the Predator. So it's called Predator Killer of Killers. It looks fucking awesome. It comes out on June 6th on Hulu, and I think it's gonna be fantastic, man. I'm pumped. The animation looks fantastic too. It kind of reminds me of Animatrix a little bit, if I'm dating myself.
Oh, man. Oh, wow. Why don't you just go to liquid television?
Yes, that's what beautiful, man. Or Into the Spider-Verse kind of vibe too.
Or it will kill us all.
Oh, it's gonna be good.
That looks phenomenal. And you know, I'm a fan
Right?
of animation, dude, and what they are doing now with animation is just incredible. Like I've recommended a couple of shows that you guys know, like Secret Level, Blue Eye Samurai. There's a lot of good animated shows out there like this at our adult, obviously adult level animation. But that looks phenomenal. That
I'm
looks like
all
it's
in,
going to
man.
be great. I'm all in for that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm all
So
in
it's
for
the
that.
same guy who did Prey, Dan Trachtenberg, and he's also directing Predator Badlands, which comes out in November. So yeah, can't wait, man. I'm all
Sweet.
in on a Predator movie or a series like this. I think it's great. So
Absolutely.
thanks for coming out, guys. And Fat Broken Rambo out here.
All right, Thick Nick Fury. Till next time.
We have to show the wilderness our respect.
We have to have another hunt.
She's gonna end up being the last one standing.
You're asking me to pick who dies.
They brought you to me.
Damn.
Captain Jack never disappoints. There you have it, folks. Till next time.
See you guys. Be good to each other.